One of the things I have to deal with, um, based on our situation, is that every 3 weeks or so I fly down to visit my wife. And I guess we're very fortunate in the way that we can financially afford to do that. Also, very fortunate because I live in a town that connects with a airport in Florida, and has a weekly flight that comes right out of our town. We're not a big town, but it's big enough that we have a great airport, and so I get to fly about every 3 weeks. Typically, just a long weekend is what we're doing, and I'm also fortunate, I guess, to go with that because I have enough vacation time that I can take to do those things, and take a week here and there, or over long weekends here and there, and then gives us a chance to get together. But that's also one of the downsides, obviously, of not living together when you're married. So one of the things I'd like to do is just give a shout out to all the military families out there, because kudos to you folks, because it's harder than we thought it was going to be, much harder. Being apart, we're very much in love, we're very close. We hate not being together. We talk on the phone basically every night. We FaceTime a couple times a week, and then I get to visit, or she gets to visit every 3 weeks or so. I know with most of our military families that serve active duty, they don't have that opportunity. They may get to FaceTime once in a while, they may get to make phone calls, but they don't get to fly home every couple weeks to visit family and then go back to work. So that's one of the plus sides that we have, is that I can do that. And it's easier for me. My wife is a teacher, so she doesn't get days off per se unless it's school-based holidays, etc. So it's a little bit harder for her to work it in. And of course, it's cold where I'm at, so she'd much rather I come to visit her where it's nice and warm in Florida than her to come up here to the upper Midwest where it's nice and cold. There's just no reason to want to come back here. And as I can show you, if you can see, I mean, it's in the background there, it's just gray and gloomy and cold here. It's 5 degrees, 7 degrees. And at least when I get down to Florida, even though they're going through a little bit of a cold spell as well, when I get there today, when I arrive tonight, it'll be approximately 55, 60. The next day, tomorrow, is supposed to be 65 or better, and then back in the mid 70s the day after that, and then I'll be back after. But so it's still 50 degrees warmer than it is here, where I'm at right now. So I'd much rather come to visit her. Plus, it gives us time to reconnect. And when she comes up here, we would have to find a place for us to stay, because neither one of our parents that live in the area have room for us to stay as a couple per se. And then if my daughter were to come with, who's also in Florida, it would just be another issue to worry about. So we typically, when they came up for Christmas, for example, they came up here for a week to begin with, and then we all went back down south for the last of the break. My daughter's still in college, so she had, a 20-day break as well. So we got a hotel up here for us to stay at while they were here, and then we went back down south after that. So, but traveling back and forth, we're fortunate, like I said, to be able to afford to do that. Luckily, this is a relatively inexpensive airline. They only fly one way, or round trips. They don't have layovers, they don't have stops. You go from here to there and there back, and that's pretty much their flight every day. No matter where you're coming from with this particular airline, it's not at every airport. So you're going into some of the smaller ones. They service a lot of the smaller communities, instead of going to big places like Chicago or Milwaukee or etc. That's the upper Midwest area that I'm in. We'd have to go to either Chicago or Milwaukee to get a flight otherwise. And I've been able to use this airport several times now. I've flown, I just figured it up a little bit earlier. I have flown since since we put ourselves in this position where we've separated. I've flown, this is my 10th round trip. This is just into the new year. This is my first one solo round trip for the year. I have another one already planned for, Valentine's Day weekend, give or take. And then another for the 3 weeks later, which works out to be right around the first weekend of March, etc. So that's kind of what we do. Is I look at the day I'm going to land. Okay, I'm back home on this day. 3 weeks from now, there's a Friday flight that leaves. That gives me a Friday to Monday for the most part. Sometimes I have to use an Uber or a Lyft to get back to the airport when I'm in Florida. Because my wife has to be to work and my daughter has class and they can't drop me off. So it adds a little bit of expense to it. But again, we're still very fortunate to have the resources to do that. And I'm very grateful that we can do that, and it's convenient. My mom typically drops me off and picks me up, and then I just take the day as needed, the time off of work as needed, and then try to stretch things out. Now, come summertime, this will be our first full summer. We moved last year in June. This will be our first summer where my wife will be taking her teacher break in Florida. So in the beginning months until she goes back to work, she will probably come up here to visit me so that I can save vacation and not burn through vacation, because every day I used between June and June of next year, 2026, takes away time for me to get out a little bit earlier. It's a very long story to include that to you, and maybe I'll do that in another video. But essentially, if I can make my vacation last, once I get my pension credits accrued next year around this time, like April of 26, I can in theory use my vacation to ride out my time until June, and then I will come back in June and take 4 weeks of vacation right away, and actually technically retire July 1st. I earn my vacation after, and that vacation renews in June 1st. So once I've worked the hours required, I renew my vacation. So the company will have to, pay that out to me in June of 2026. I have 5 weeks coming plus a personal week that I can use. So I have 6 weeks. So I'll take 4 weeks in June. That will cover the month of June, and then I'll get 2 weeks paid out in a lump sum, and then technically, like I said, retire in July. But in theory, I'm hoping to move back my move day, when I'm officially in Florida all the time, back to the middle or end of April, and then use vacation to tide me over until June. And if I save enough vacation, don't use as much, that should work out pretty good. So I may have to come back and sign paperwork to make it all official, and make sure that I got my vacation lined up for going into 2026. But my pension credits, I will technically have accrued my 30th year pension credit by April. And so as soon as I get that in, I'm eligible to retire, or at least I could leave then if I wanted to. But I don't want to leave until June, because I get that check either way from vacation that I've earned. So I'd like to just carry out my time until the end of May, retire after that. So June 1st, 2026. So we're looking at, right now the way it sits, about 16 months, 14 to 16 months, depending. Like I said, I could be down and out of the shop sooner. Could be down and out of the shop in 14 months, but technically I wouldn't actually retire until June or July of 2026. But that's God willing, and the vacation lasts and holds up better, and we get enough time out of that. It's all kind of planning it out and hoping that things go well, and that's kind of the plan. So come summer this year, 2025 summer, my wife will be coming up here in June and July, and then I won't start coming to visit her until probably August or September, probably Labor Day. So what I'll try to do is tie all of my trips to extended holidays, for instance, Labor Day, and then I know there's not any more until November, but for Thanksgiving. But I can take, I'll take a 3-day weekend in October, another 3-day weekend, end of October, early. But I'll only be using, in theory, 1 day of vacation, 1 day of vacation. So I'm trying to spread out those couple weeks as far as I can, so that I can be done and out sooner than I had planned. But anyway, that's kind of my plan. Things got rolling, like I said. We'll just keep plugging away at this thing. But this is an upside or a downside depending on how you look at it. I get to travel, I get to deal with airports every couple weeks. I'm kind of an old hat at it now, I don't really mind it. I would recommend anybody who travels this much to get pre-check. I have not done that with TSA pre-check. It's kind of a pain in the butt to go through the process, but I'm hoping to get it done before my next trip so that I can save a couple steps at going through TSA. But that'll be, I'll let you know how that goes. So anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.